we are doing the second unit in the second block. The name of the lesson is Mahashweta Vrittantaha. Unit 6 is Mahashweta Vrittantaha story. In this unit, you will come to study the Mahashweta story, a small portion of the Kadambari novel written by Bana in prose literature. Introduction. A literary composition is generally termed kavya in Sanskrit literature. This kavya is of two kinds, namely Drishya kavya and Shravya kavya. The drama which we can visualize on the stage and enjoy, and dramas etc. like that. And while under Shravya kavya we have the prose, gadyam, poetry, padyam, and champu kavya, both the combination of prose and poetry. In Sanskrit, we have only a very small number of prose literature. Out of them, only 4 are very famous. They are Vasavadata written by Subandhu, Kadambari and Harshacharitam written by Banabhatta, Dashakumara Charita written by Dandi, and they are praiseworthy and noteworthy. These prose works are considered to be of two kinds, Katha and Akhyayika. Bana's Kadambari in prose is a good example for Katha, and his Harshacharita is a good example for Akhyayika variety. Let us know now about the poet Banabhatta. Bana, the author of Kadambari, especially Purva Bhaga, it was written by him, and Uttara Bhaga, concluded by his son Bhushana Bhatta, is generally taken to represent a landmark in the history of Sanskrit prose literature, as prose romances were very scarce before him. He himself gives us an account of his life in the verses of Kadambari and in the first few pages of the Harshacharita, which contains the history of the king Harshavardhana of Staneshwar, from whose reign 606 AD onwards commemorates the Harsha era used in Nepal. Bana traces his lineage from Vatsa, the cousin of Saraswata, son of Dadhija and Saraswati. Thus, in this Vatsayana race, he was born as the son of Chitrabhanu and Rajadevi. He lost his mother in his infancy, and so he was brought up with all motherly affection by his own father. The father also passed away when Bana was just 14 years old boy. This event changed Bana's career completely. He set out on a long journey in the company of a number of his friends having good qualities and experience. Once he was invited to the court of Harshavardhana, who was then encamping on Ajiravati river. On the recommendation of Krishna, the brother of Harshavardhana, Bana was received cordially, and in a short time he became the favorite of the king Harshavardhana. Bana's date. From the account given in the Harshacharita by Bana himself and the description of Harshavardhana Shiladitya given by Huyen-song, Bana's patronage is identified with the king who ruled in Kannauj during 606 AD to 648 AD. We can conclude that the date of Bana is the closing part of the 6th and the early part of the 7th century AD. Bana's works. Besides Bana's Kadambari and Harshacharita, 4 other works, namely Chandi Shataka, Shiva Shataka, Sharada Chandrika, Mukutataritaka are known to have been written by Bana. Among these works, the Mukutataritaka is not yet discovered. The story of Kadambari, it is a very big story, so we have to summarize this. A certain parrot named Vaishampayana that was well versed in all the lore was brought by a Chandala maiden to the king Shudraka. Being questioned by the king, who was surprised at its flawless speech, the parrot related to him its own story. The parrot was born in the Vindhya forest, where on a large silk cotton tree, it lived with its father, as its mother had died soon after his birth, and the story continues. And later, almost at the end, when the parrot told his story, Chandala maiden, she declared that she was the goddess Lakshmi and the mother of Vaishampayana, who was no other than Pundarika. The two heroes are Chandrapida and Kadambari, and Pundarika and Mahashweta. Their love story only is explained in this prose romance. General opinion on Kadambari. Bana died leaving the Kadambari unfinished. Therefore, his son Bhushana Bhatta, also called as Pulinga, continued it on the same plane and in the same style and completed it. Uttara Bhaga. This section is called Uttara Bhaga of Kadambari Katha, while that written by Bana is the Purva Bhaga. Bana's style in the Kadambari. Among scholars, Bana's work has been a model for style for many centuries. It is, therefore, worthwhile to consider briefly the characteristics of his style. Bana uses smooth and luxuriant diction, forceful in style. Traditional critics have nothing but admiration for his style and uphold Kadambari as the finest specimen of the Panchali style of composition. The name is true to the grace Kadambari, which also means liquor. One is the name of the hero in Kadambari, Chandrapida's lover, and another meaning is liquor, intoxicant. If liquor makes one to forget himself, so does the prose romance of Kadambari. Kadambari rasajnanam aharopina rochate. Here, the word Kadambari has two meanings. One is liquor and another one is Bana's novel Kadambari Katha. So, who enjoys this novel doesn't feel like eating any food, and a person who is a drunkard also doesn't feel hunger. Now, the lesson part, Pachyabhagaha, it starts from Etat prayena kalyanabhiniveshinaha shruti vishayam apatitameva yatha vibudha sadmanyapsaraso nama kanyakaha santiti. And it will continue till Evametaanyekatra chaturdasha kulani. Let us see the translation for this paragraph. This must have probably come within the range of the hearing of you, ardently interested in sacred knowledge, that there are in the abode of gods maidens called Apsaras. Etat prayena kalyanabhiniveshinaha shruti vishayam apatitameva yatha vibudha sadmanyapsaraso nama kanyakaha santiti. From here the paragraph starts and it will continue and conclude like this. Evameta nekatra chaturdasha kulani. This must have probably come within the range of the hearing of you, ardently interested in sacred knowledge, that there are in the abode of gods maidens called Apsaras. There are 14 families among them. One sprang from the mind of the lotus-born god, the creator Brahman, and another was produced from the Vedas. The next one produced from Agni, the fire, and another was derived by wind. Then from nectar or Amrita, and another one from water, and then another one from the rays of the Lord Sun, Surya, and another from the rays of the moon, Chandra, and another one from the earth, Bhumi, Prithvi, another one from the lightning, and the next one from Yamadharma, and another one from Cupid, Lord Manmatha, and the next one. The pair of families was born by the union of the Gandharvas with the daughters named Muni and Arina, who were two amongst the two numerous girls of Daksha Prajapati. Thus, all these together form 14 families. Gandharvanam tu Dakshatmaja Dvitaya Sambhavam Tadeva Kuladvayam Jatam, and from there it concludes Gandharva Shatasahasrani Prativasanti. The two families born of the two daughters of Daksha Prajapati also became the families of the Gandharvas. Herein, in the same family, Chitraratha, the 16th son of Muni, was considered to be more virtuous than his other 15 brothers, Chitrasena and others. His greatness was enhanced by the title friend or a mitra bestowed on him by the god Indra himself. All the gods have honored his lotus feet with their crowns, bending their heads and becoming his subordinates. And not very far from his residence, there is the Varsha mountain called as Hemakuta in the continent of Kimpurusha, which is in the north of this Bharatavarsha, which we call it as now as India, our country. Many hundreds of thousands of Gandharvas are protected there by his two arms. The next paragraph, the third one, starts from Tenaiva chedam chaitraratham namati manoharam kananam nirmitam. From there till here, tasyapi sayeva giriradhivasaha. And the third paragraph translation. It is only by him that this very charming Chaitraratha garden was planted. This great lake Achyuta also was dug out, and this image of God Shiva was fashioned. Arishta's son Hamsa was the eldest of 6 brothers, Tumburu and others, and a Gandharva known all over the world got kingship even as a boy. Being installed as king in that second family of Gandharvas by Chitraratha himself, his residence has an innumerable army of Gandharva attendants in the same mountain. Next paragraph, it starts from Yattu Tatsoma Piyusha Sambhutanam Apsarasam Kulam Tasmat Kirana Jala Nusara Galitena, and it concludes here. Nikhilantah Puraswamini Chatasya Bhavat. Let us see the translation. And in that family, Apsaras, which sprang from the rays of the moon, there born a girl named as Gauri, who was very beautiful. fashioned as though by the entire loveliness of all the lunar digits, poured along the watery race, gladdening the eyes of the three worlds like another goddess Gauri, that is Parvati Devi, and having a complexion as well as the moonbeams. And Hamsa, the lord of the second family of the Gandharvas, made her his spouse, just as the milk ocean made Ganges as his own. She united with Hamsa, Gandharva, just as Rati united with the Lord Cupid, or the lotus bed with the autumnal season enjoyed very great pleasure owing to her union with a suitable mate, and became the queen of all the inmates of this race. Tayoscha tadrishayor mahatmanoh aham idrishi vigata lakshana shokaya mahashveteti yatharthameva nama kritavan. To such a high-souled pair I was born just for grief, an only daughter without auspicious marks and a vessel of many thousands of sorrows. My father, however, having been childless, greeted my birth with a great festival, surpassing that celebrated on the birth of a son. And when the 10th day came up, he, having performed all suitable rites, the rituals, and then bestowed on me the quite significant name Mahashweta to me, because I was so fair in complexion. Saham Pitrubhavane Balataya Kara Madhura Pralapini Vineva Vasanta Iva Madhumasena Madhumasa Iva Navapallavena Navapallava Iva Kusumena Kusuma Iva Madhukarena Madhukara Iva Madena Navayavvanena Padam. And in my father's house, I, that is Mahashweta, passing from lap to lap of Gandharvas, being pampered so much, and on account of my infancy, passed my childhood, which was so pleasant as the troubles of love and of sorrow were unknown to me. And in due time, fresh youth set foot in my body, just as does the Chaitra month in the spring season, Madhumasa, the fresh sprout in Chaitra, the flowering, the fresh sprout, and the bee on the flower, and intoxication in the bee. Like this, I have, that is Mahashweta, entered into youth. Here ends your lesson. Let us see now few words and meanings and a few grammar points also from this lesson. Vibudhaha, gods. Apsarasaha, celestial women, the wives of Gandharvas, etc. Kamayonihi, Lord Brahma, who was born in lotus, that is Brahmadeva. Sudama, a mountain, or it means a cloud. Makaraketuhu, or Makaradvajaha. Manmathaha, Kamadevaha, Lord Cupid, god of love. Makaradvajaha is another name for him. Dakshatmaja, daughter of Daksha Prajapati. Dakshasya Atmaja, Daksha, Dakshatmaja, Shashti Tatpurusha Samasaha. And Atmanaha Jayate iti Atmaja, Upapada Samasaha. Muni and Arista, another two daughters of Daksha Prajapati among number of his daughters. Chitranadaha, he was the 16th son of Muni. Shaishave, Shishoho Bhavaha iti Shaishavam, Tasmin. Kim Purushaha, a name of the ancient clan or a race. Adhipatyam, adhipatehe bhavaha iti adhipatihi, adhikam pati iti upapada samasaha. Tribhuvanam, त्रीणि च भुवनानि तेषां समाहारः तस्मात् प्रख्यातः पराक्रमः यस्य सः. दिस इज बहुव्रीहि समासः. त्रिभुवन प्रख्यात पराक्रमः, who was the famous in 3 worlds in bravery. The 3 worlds are Swargaloka, Martyaloka and Patalaloka. अच्छोदम, अच्छम और शुभ्रम, उदकम यस्येति, उदादेशा for udaka. Acchoda sarovara means clean watered lake. Gandharva rajaha, Gandharvanam raja shashti tatpurusha samasaha. The Rajan Shabda is like this: Raja, Rajanav, Rajanaha. Now, few questions basing on this lesson. Write an essay on Bana's date, place and works. Write the story of Mahashweta according to the text. Write on the descriptive style of writing as seen in Bana Bhatta. Write briefly the story of Kadambari. Reference to context, annotations, Sandarbha Sahita Vakya, few. Many are there. Tasam Chaturdasha Kulani, Eva Maitanyekatra Chaturdasha Kulani, Hemakuto Nama Nivasaha, Acchodadhidanam Ati Mahatsaraha Khanitam, Balayeva Rajyapadam Asaditavan, Hima Kirana Kiranavadata Varna Kanyaka Prasuta, निखिलांतः पुरस्वामिनी च तस्याभवत्. महाश्वेतेति यथार्थमेव नाम कृतवान्, मधुकरैव मदेन नवयौवनेन पदम्. And short notes questions. किं पुरुषाः, भारतवर्षं, गंधर्वः, महाश्वेता, हर्षचरितं, हर्षदेवः और हर्षवर्धनः, हेमकूटम, कादंबरी. Thank you. Let us meet again in the next lesson.